guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. And in today's video we will be going through my round 7 AFL tips and predictions for the 2022 season, and as well as that we're going to be recapping last week's tips to see how I did in the round 6 Anzac Day tipping. If you guys do go on to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and also join the tipping comp if you haven't already, because there's lots of prizes up for grabs and there are a lot of people in the tipping comp, so you want to get in quick, you want to get in now so you can have a chance of winning some massive prizes at the end of the year. So in round 6 I've got my highest score yet of the 2022 tipping. I've got 8 out of 9 tips correct, just one that screwed me over. Anyway, we'll go through them now. It started off on the Friday with GWS and St Kilda. Now obviously last week's tipping video got out on the Saturday and a lot of people think I cheated this, but I do my tips on ESPN Footy Tips and I filmed them last week on Thursday night. So as you can see there, I've tipped St Kilda and I locked it in before the game, so there's no cheating whatsoever. I tipped the Saints to get it done by 7 points. I was off by 10 points because I got it done by 17 in the end. Pretty sloppy game, however, Saints just took a hold of the Giants. They're always a little bit ahead of the Giants in this game, but they got it comfortably done in the end at Manuka Oval. And the Saints are creeping up. They're having a really good start to the year. They're 5-1 with a percentage of 131, sitting 5th on the table, so they're very good this year and you've got to look out for them. Now moving on to the Saturday games, it was the Dogs and the Crows, 1:45 PM at Mars Stadium, Ballarat. And now this one, I feel like it looks a lot closer than it actually was. I feel like Adelaide I think were in front for the entire game. Like the Dogs, I think the biggest Dogs lead was like only around 10 points. So the Dogs never really had a hold of the Crows, and the Crows pretty much, they got it comfortably done and they only won it by 1 point. Like the Dogs kicked a goal with about like 3 seconds left in the last quarter, which made it the 1 point game. However, I did tip the Dogs and this was the only game that I screwed up with my tipping. Unfortunately, I thought the Dogs play a really good brand of footy at Mars Stadium. However, Adelaide, Jesus Christ, we played a few games at Mars, but I didn't think they were going to come out and just do this to the Dogs. The Dogs having a really poor start to the season, especially after last year. They were really good. They made the grand final, and then backing it up with this performance early on in the year is just really shocking. Moving on to the next game on the Saturday, it was Port Adelaide and West Coast at Adelaide Oval. Now I tipped Port Adelaide to get their first win of the year and they got it comfortably done. West Coast are in the mud. They are possibly the worst team. They're possibly in the worst form than any other team this year. They're sitting second last on the ladder with a percentage of 61, which is just really poor from the Eagles. You know, look back a couple years ago, they're one of the best teams in the comp, and you look at them now and they are one of the worst teams in the comp. So I tipped Port to get their first win and they were able to get it done. Then the last game on the Saturday was the Dockers taking on the Blues at Optus Stadium. Saturday night footy, and the Dockers got it done quite convincingly in the end. Carlton never really had the upper hand. You know, they started off the game much better than we did. They won the first quarter, but ever since then, second quarter onwards, we just dominated. We played a really good brand of footy against the Blues, and the Dockers are firing as well. We're sitting second on the ladder with a percentage of 144, so really promising stuff. But I feel like we might drop off. We have Geelong this week, so it's going to be a real difficult task, but really good win in round 6 against the Blues. Moving on to the Sunday games now, we had North Melbourne and Geelong at Blundstone Arena. I tipped the Geelong Cats. I thought this one could go either way, however, I tipped Geelong. They got it done by 60 points, and Jeremy Cameron kicking 7 goals. I wasn't able to watch any of this game, however, it just looks like Geelong dominated from the get-go. At Blundstone, I thought maybe North Melbourne had a bit of a chance, but no, they just got blown away from the Cats. The next game on the Sunday was the Q Clash, Gold Coast and Brisbane at Metricon Stadium, and Gold Coast just never stand a chance in the Q Clashes. Brisbane are always way too strong, no matter what venue they play at. Brisbane just always seems to flog them. Brisbane ended up getting it done by a total of 52 points in the end, and Brisbane cruising nicely on the ladder, sitting third. Last game on the Sunday, it was Anzac Eve footy, Richmond and Melbourne at the MCG. Now this game was a really poor game, and Melbourne kicking 9 goals 22 to Richmond 8 goals 6. Melbourne scored 6 points in the first quarter, and then since then they just scored pretty much 6 or over in every quarter since quarter time. Richmond playing a pretty poor brand of footy. Melbourne, you know, they just aren't that convincing at the moment. You know, they're sitting top of the table with a pretty healthy percentage. However, they're just not playing the most convincing brand of footy. But against Richmond, you know, you should be able to get that done. But 9 goals, 22. They need to bloody improve on their goal kicking, the Melbourne Demons. Now, moving on to Anzac Day footy, it was Hawthorn and Sydney at Utah's Stadium. 12:30 p.m. start, and the Hawks had a real upper hand in the first quarter. I think they were up by about 30 to 40, maybe even 30 to 40 points. I'm not sure. I didn't watch any of this game, but I did see in the highlights they were up by about 30 to 40 points in that first quarter, and the Swans just came back and somehow got it done by a real healthy gap as well. Sydney kicked 7 goals in the third quarter to pretty much kickstart their comeback in this matchup, and they ended up getting it done by 41 points. So yeah, pretty good comeback from the Swans, as they were definitely down in the first half. However, they're sitting healthy, they're sitting in the top 4, and yeah, they're cruising well, the Swans. Then the main game of the round, it was the Bombers and the Pies at the MCG. 82,000 attendance at this game. Just incredible how I got to go there and experience what I did on the Monday. It was the Collingwood Magpies that got up by 11 points. It was a pretty close game all day. However, I feel like Collingwood just had a bit of an upper hand on the Bombers. You know, they're in a little bit better form than Essendon coming into this game, and yeah, they really proved that they could be something this year. Essendon had no options up the line, so they just had to keep on passing it back, doing these little chip kicks, and they could never go down the line, and they're just always just try and bang it into Peter Wright, which isn't working. I don't know what their game plan is, but it's really not working, as we can see from these last 6 rounds. They definitely have a new game plan going into this year, and they need to change it up because it is not going anywhere. Anyway, Collingwood got it done in the end, and the atmosphere there was absolutely insane at the end of the game. 8 out of 9 tips correct for my round 6 tipping. Now we'll move on to my round 7 tips, and hopefully we can get a similar score, if not maybe all correct this week. It starts at Optus Stadium, where we see West Coast take on Richmond. Richmond, very heavy favourites to win this matchup. 92% of people have tipped Richmond, and only 8% have tipped West Coast. But remember last year's game, West Coast did win it. Josh Kennedy snapped in the final minutes. I just really curious to know what those odds were, because in a year a lot has changed for the Eagles. Now they are probably in the worst form than any other team in the league at the moment, and Richmond, they're not in good form, but they're definitely a better team than the Eagles. However, I don't know who will get this one done. I'm going to tip Richmond, but it's a real crap game to play on a prime time on Friday. Like West Coast and Richmond, they used to be good. Maybe last year could definitely be a prime time game, but this year they're just not good enough for a prime time Friday night footy game. So I'm going to tip the Tigers to get it done. I'm going to tip Richmond to get it done. However, I feel like this one's going to be a really poor, crappy game. I'm going to tip Richmond to get it done. I feel like they're just going to run away with it. You know, there's some games where Richmond can just run away with it. I'm going to tip them by 29 points. However, I feel like this is going to be a real poor game, and this could go either way. Moving on to the Saturday games now, we have Geelong and Freo at GMHBA Stadium. Geelong, pretty heavy favourites to win this one. However, Freo sitting second on the ladder compared to Geelong 6 on the ladder. 79% of people have tipped Geelong, with only 21 tipping the Dockers. However, I feel like Geelong at GMHBA, it's going to be really hard to tip against Freo. However, last few games we've played against Geelong at GMHBA, we've got pumped by over 80 points every time. So it's going to be really hard. Obviously, we're a much better team now than last time we played at GMHBA, but I feel like it's still going to be really difficult to get it done against the Cats. I feel like we probably are a little bit of a better team, but when it comes to playing at the venue, I feel like GMHBA, Geelong have a massive upper hand, and I'm going to tip Freo just because I hate tipping against my own team. However, I feel like Geelong will probably win, but I'm going to tip Freo, not because I think they're going to win, just because I can't tip against my own team. So I feel like Geelong will win, but I'm going to tip my team. Next game on the Saturday, it is Adelaide and GWS, 2:10 p.m. at Adelaide Oval. Now this one's going to be a real tough task for GWS. They're coming off really poor form actually. They've only won 1 game this year. GWS in the bottom 4 and Adelaide sitting 10th on the ladder, so Adelaide definitely a better team, and when it comes to the venue as well, I feel like Adelaide will get this done. I'm going to tip the Crows to get it done. However, maybe a GWS upset. They really need to bounce back, the Giants, if they have any chance of making finals. But really bad start, really poor start to the season for the Giants, but I feel like Adelaide will get it done. They have heavy favourites to win this game, and I feel like Adelaide Oval just changed a lot in terms of this game. Next game on the Saturday, it is Melbourne and Hawthorn at the MCG. Now Hawthorn, $5 to win this game, and only 3% of tippers tipping the Hawks coming into this game. Hawthorn are sitting 9th, Melbourne Melbourne sitting first. Melbourne have 97% of people tip them in this matchup. I'm going to be tipping Melbourne. However, you never know. Melbourne just had that little bit of drop-off form midway through last year. That could definitely happen again this year. Hawthorn could definitely pull out a brand of footy that we haven't seen them play. I feel like they definitely have a chance in winning this game, but it's hard to go past the Ds. They haven't lost a game. They haven't been playing the most convincing brand of footy, but I feel like this is where they should start getting serious. They will win this game, I feel. Moving on to the night games on the Saturday, it is St Kilda and Port Adelaide at Gazali Stadium. I feel like Saints have a massive upper hand here in terms of form, in terms of where it's being played, in terms of team, just in terms of everything. They are a much better side coming into this matchup. With no hesitation at all, I will be tipping the Saints to get it done, as Port just really haven't had a convincing start to the year. They only got their first win last round, so I feel like St Kilda definitely heavy favourites. They will win this game. They should definitely win it. Also, another Saturday night game, it is Carlton and North Melbourne at Marvel Stadium. Carlton heavy favourites to win this game, and I feel like they should win the Blues, but North Melbourne, who knows, they could come from nowhere, the Kangaroos, but I feel like Carlton will be too dominant. They're coming off a loss against the Dockers, the Blues, and I feel like that's what's going to really push them to win this game, and if they lose this game, then who knows. I feel like they should win this game. They're sitting in a comfortable 7th position compared to North Melbourne, bottom of the table, so I'm going to be tipping Carlton. They really should win this game. Moving on to the Sunday games now, we have Collingwood and Gold Coast at the MCG. Collingwood heavy favourites to win this game, and when it comes to playing at the MCG, Gold Coast don't play there too often, and when they do, they don't perform well. They don't play a good brand of footy, so I'm going to be tipping the Pies in this game. I feel like Collingwood coming into the season with a pretty decent start. You know, they're sitting 8th on the table. They've won 3 games. I'm going to be tipping the Pies coming into this. I feel like home ground advantage is going to have a big factor in this game. Now, moving on to the second last game this round, we have the Dogs and the Bombers at Marvel Stadium. Now, I feel like this should be a pretty interesting game. The last few times these teams have versed each other, there have been some pretty interesting encounters. I'll be tipping the Dogs in this matchup, but I feel like this one could sail either way, with both teams just not being in the greatest of form, but the Dogs really need to win this game if they want to have something this year. And the last game in round 7, it is Sydney and Brisbane. Now, this one is going to probably be the hardest game to tip all round. Brisbane sitting 3rd, Sydney sitting 4th on the table. Everything is really even. Sydney just have the upper hand in terms of the betting and in terms of people tipping them as well. And I feel like in this game, it's being played at the SCG. I feel like that's going to have a really big factor in who's going to get it done. I'm going to tip Sydney. However, Brisbane play a pretty decent brand of footy at the SCG, but in terms of home advantage, I'm going to be tipping the Swans, and I feel like they've definitely got a bit of an upper hand. However, this one could go anyway to 50-50 tip. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to join the tipping comp. It'll be on the screen right here. If you haven't joined already, type that in on ESPN Footy Tips for your chances to win some big prizes at the end of the home and away season. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.